Welcome back to Theoretical Nonsense. Today we're going to be discussing the cohabitation formulation, and we're going to be talking sex sounds, the Hindu code of Manu, and the best drug sniffing dog. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot
Make yourself a grasshopper
and enjoy the ride.
Hello there, Ryan.
Hello, Rob.
Are you ready to talk cohabitation formulation?
I am so ready to talk about this.
Oh, this one. I love this one. This is so good.
I can't say it's my favorite, but it's up there. It's solid. It's what I expect from Big Bang Theory. It's what keeps me going and just friendly week-to-week show, I guess. Yeah, we watch every 2 weeks for us, but it's the type of thing where it makes me happy that the show exists and I get to watch it.
Yeah, and I was really resisting trying to spoil things for you because you were predicting this from almost the beginning of this season about oh, what's gonna happen when he does find someone else, and then you met Priya and you're like, "Woo, when's she coming back?"
Yeah. And then also
here she
with
is.
Howard, things don't seem to be going so well with Bernadette, and so my prediction of I think Raj is gonna bump in there. I'm hoping Raj deserves a little Raj day. I don't know.
Happy Raj Day.
Happy Raj Day.
Here's your new girlfriend.
That's how it works, right? You get a day and a girlfriend.
Obviously.
Obviously.
But yeah, I really like this one because it really is driving the story forward a little bit, and they did have those hints before, and I like that they're kind of just bringing it back. That Penny she knew this would come at some point.
Yeah,
and she kind of just sat on it for a long time, and now here they are.
I like how she's been really strong about it too, and through the episode, she seems really strong, and it works really well for the episode to build up to when she's not so happy about it.
Yeah. And I just want to say I think Amy is amazing in this episode, and I think she's actually an amazing best friend, even though it is kind of one-sided right now that Penny is her best friend, calls her bestie and stuff like that. But the way that she kind of in a sense takes care of Penny, how she checks in on her and everything like that, I think it was really, really good. I
agree.
That.
This is some top-notch Amy television.
Yeah.
And her being, I love the slumber party one too, the slumber party episode, but this is also great Amy, and she's just a good friend, to show up like that. She might be awkward and not what you would expect from a best friend, but she's still there and compassionate, so.
Yeah, she's compassionate, but she also tells brutal truths too.
Yeah.
The things that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear.
Mm-hmm. I feel like she's rubbing off on Sheldon a little bit too with the tea. So
yeah, there was there was one line where she was like, "Are you okay?" And Penny says, "Yeah," and Amy's just like, "Who are you kidding? She's breathtaking." Let's be real about the situation here.
That's one of my favorite lines from the episode is her saying, "I take back my cattiness. She is delightful."
Yes,
she is delightful. Yeah.
Well, before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. Don't forget to email us at theoreticalnonsensepod, and we will read your email aloud. And we love the interaction. We got an email from longtime listener Rick.
And so Rick says, talking about the episode The Thespian Catalyst, listening to your latest episode, The Thespian Catalyst, and I have a sticking point for you. You are conflating failure with loss. While it may be true that the two are synonymous, while his failure at lecturing is not a competition, therefore a truly parallel to what failure means is how he failed to learn to drive. He failed to acquire plutonium when he was a child, that sort of thing. I do not find it equivalent that he lost a competition to be the same thing. Just thoughts. Take care, Rick. So, yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at it. I still am seeing that to lose a competition, to be unable to teach appropriately, is a form of failure. Although I suppose there is this notion that failure also means that you can't recover. And I guess in the terms of teaching, he could always improve. But at this point in time, he failed to acquire plutonium as a kid, so he was never able to do it. He was never able to improve or change that. But it's kind of word choice. I'm still seeing it kind of as the same, that he did fail in this regard. How about you?
Yeah, I definitely see Rick's point. I definitely see that there could be like slight differences between the situations, but yeah, Ryan and I talked about a little bit about this offline, and I still feel like whenever I think of it like a competition, like Rick is saying that it's a loss. Like if you were competing, like if we're playing a tennis match or something like that, and I lost, I would still count that as a failure. Like I failed to
Mm-hmm.
train enough that I didn't succeed. Like my victory, I failed at victory.
Fail that
So
victory.
it
Yeah.
is kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little bit of semantics. Is that the right word?
I think that works. Word choice, the way we define and
Yeah.
discuss the definitions of words. So, yeah, it's I would say semantics. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess we could just agree to disagree at
yeah.
this point.
But it's
But
an
Rick,
interesting
thank
point.
you for, yeah, it's a great point of view, and it really got us thinking. So thanks, Rick. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Write us an email, a 5-star review, and we'll give you a shout out. Because we deserve it too.
Yes, we do.
All right. Anything else to add before we dive in?
I think I'm ready to dive in. I've got some stuff I want to talk about in this episode.
Oh, all right.
It's
Let's
good.
do
It's good.
this. Good stuff. Only good
It's good
stuff.
stuff.
Well, this is season 4, episode 16, The Cohabitation Formulation. Aired February 17th, 2011. Written by Chuck Lorre, Bill Brady, and teleplay by Steve Molaro. Directed by Mark Sandrowski. So, opening scene, we're in Bernadette's home in bed. With her is Howard, and they had just finished a little hanky panky. And she's giggling because she's thinking about the sounds that people make during sex. That Howard is kind of emulates a drunken monkey, which I thought that was kind of funny.
Chunky monkey.
Yeah, she's a keeper if you do that, Howard. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Well, they enjoy a perfect moment for about 2 seconds, and then Howard decides that he needs to leave because he needs to help his mom in the morning. He has to help her with her wig, drawing on her eyebrows. It's a two-person job. It makes me wonder if he does that every day. Has he been doing this every day for like years and
It
years?
kind of sounds like it, and the way the relationship, the more we see about his relationship with his mom, makes it seem like it's every day.
Yes. I'm sure
Yeah.
they have a nighttime ritual too that he just kind of
Mhm.
skips every once in a while, and that's probably why she's so pissed off at him.
Yeah.
You have to help me take my wig off now.
And help me get my eyebrows off.
Yeah.
It's drawing her.
Well, Bernadette wants him to spend the whole night with her because otherwise, every time that she leaves, it makes her feel cheap. So he definitely does not get it, and he offers 5 to 10 minutes. And then she just dismisses him, like, okay, you can just go. And then she suggests that they move in together. And he thinks that it's with his mom, too.
All
It's
three
like,
under the same roof.
ooh. Well, he has a plan. He thinks he's quick-witted and he thinks of a plan. He wants her to wait for his mom's heart to explode and they could flip over her mattress and take over the big bedroom. So gross.
So gross. Like it made me think about like reusing mattresses bothers me on like a very, very fundamental level, and I don't know why. Like
Because aren't you only supposed to have a mattress for like 7 years?
I think so. Like it builds up with like apparently mattresses get heavier over the years because like dead skin cells and stuff, and so like you're basically sleeping on dead bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it freaks me out.
Oh.
So I have an IQ point. Before we get too much further, I want to throw it in there because I was kind of curious. why would Howard sound like a drunken monkey? And what type of noises do people make? Do people make noises during, well, they do make noises during sex, but why do we make those noises? And part of this has been through discussions and readings that the more I see, the more I hear, the more I read, it becomes pretty apparent that noises are not made, what should I say? They aren't usually made because we feel good. That most people, when they masturbate, do so quietly or pretty quietly, either completely in silence or pretty quietly. You know, online, like 1 out of 10 people is like, I scream when I masturbate. I'm like, I don't know if I believe that, but good for you. And so I looked into this a little bit, and what did I find? Yeah, from people I've talked to, most people are quiet when they masturbate, which means that for some reason they're making sounds when they're having sex, which could be because sex feels better, or there might be other reasons. Um, According to Psychology Today, an article by Aaron Ben-Save, uh, he makes some interesting claims and did quite a few interviews, or has some quotes in there, quite a few quotes. But he breaks sounds, moans, screams, and this is interesting because he kind of puts moans and screams on the same level for a couple of reasons. But there's three main points to take from his article: that it's moaning or screaming is an expression of pleasure and suffering, that it's like somewhere in between, which is why we'd get the suffering or why we'd get the screaming. But also it might be so intense that we don't know how to, like, our mind might not be able to process it. Um, it demonstrates that we're not indifferent to the situation. I guess in that way I'm taking it as it is almost theatrics. And the more I learn about it, moaning and screaming during sex is theatrics for a couple different reasons, which he talks about. But also, apparently women often moan and talk, or are more vocal, I guess, during sex. And this is twofold. One, to manipulate men into orgasm, and to pretend that they are climaxing. So where did I have the statistic? In it, he quotes a study by Brewer and Hendry, and this got, like, when I googled the study, came up quite a bit, but it said 66% of women claimed, or I don't know how they did the statistic, but said women moaned to speed up their partner's orgasm, and that their moaning coincided either right before male ejaculation or simultaneously with it. And so it had nothing to do with women feeling good or orgasming. It was that they were getting bored, or they wanted to wrap things up and control the situation for some reason. Bored was a word that actually did come up quite a few times, or bored or discomfort. So technically it's a theatrics to control male behavior during sex. And then it said 87% of women moan to pretend orgasm. So it makes you wonder, yeah, if that many women, and again, it was focused on women, but for whatever reason, that maybe the sounds during sex are more theatrical. What else did he come up with? Study indicates women control their sounds at least partially. Sounds are made mostly right before, during male orgasm. Females' orgasms tend to happen during foreplay. That was another thing too, is that when women don't make sounds, usually that's when they're orgasming. Meanwhile, men tend to be quieter the whole way around. And what else did I find? So also, the author of this article, not the study, suggested that there's two reasons for the noises. One is called emotional ambivalence. Basically, I guess this is what we're hoping for, that moaning isn't necessarily theatrics, but this dichotomy between emotions, this contrasting confliction of pleasure and pain that we're going through, is resulting in our brain not really knowing what to do with the information, and it leaves us as a scream or moan, that we're having to put that emotion somewhere, that strength. And then also arousal transfer, and I would have liked to have heard more about what he was going with this, but suggested that arousal transfer is basically the notion of transferring other emotions into aroused states. So the notion of fighting and then having makeup sex, and you're still kind of angry, and you're putting that pent up energy and frustration into the sex. That's transferring the emotion into arousal. So I'm guessing that the moans and screaming are ways to kind of transfer what we're going through into more arousal states. They send signs of arousal to their partner, that as well, that it technically works as a turn on. Again, to control, like the study shows, that women use it to control male orgasms or to make men turned on. There's studies that suggest that it turns the person moaning on as well. So for people who moan while they masturbate, like apparently it can be a turn on to hear oneself moan. That, yeah. But also they suggested that what they say, it could be a valuable self-fulfilling prophecy. So to hear oneself moan reintegrates, or what's the word? Forces in their head that they're having a good time. They're hearing themselves had a good time. They know that they're supposed to be having a good time, and that helps them finish. So it helps them get in the mood because they think they're hearing themselves having fun, I suppose. Yeah, most people agree that moderate noise does typically enhance sex, but when it gets too loud, things get awkward and it becomes clearly theatrical, and nobody's okay with the theatrical, even though it seems like a lot of it is theatrics. Lots of quotes about people screaming needing to be authentic. Yeah, I said that. However, it allows people to control the situation some, and also helps with communication with the partner. So even if it is theatrical, it's basically the communication saying, hey, you're doing a good thing, keep it up. And if it's not good, I won't be moaning, and you know to stop whatever you're doing, right? So technically, it's a form of communication, even if it's not super authentic. So I'm curious with Howard. I don't think he's doing it for Bernadette. I think he can't control himself, but maybe he does like hearing himself moan like a little drunken monkey sometimes. I'm not sure, but again, it's kind of strange because men typically aren't the noisemakers, according to these studies and suggestions.
For Howard, just a theory. I'm thinking like he's so not experienced with it that
Mm-hmm.
like he relies on like a lot of porn and stuff like that. So he probably just simulates like what they do. I would have to guess.
That could be too, relying on porn. And I know from culture to culture, the sounds that people make can be different. I remember having a conversation in Japan about this, that in hentai or Japanese porn, like the sounds people make are not necessarily the sounds that I'm used to in American porn. Uh, and I was really put off because I'm like, it sounds like everybody's in a lot of pain. And like my friends are like, isn't that sexy? I'm like, no, like I feel like bad.
Yeah. Even their facial expression. Not that I've ever seen this
I've never seen
from what I've
it.
heard. I've read a Harvard study on it.
Yes.
But yeah, even their facial expressions is like, are you enjoying this?
Are you sure
Are
you're
you being
okay?
punished?
I'm
What's
getting mixed
happening?
messages.
Yeah. I, I have the weirdest boner right now.
I don't feel okay with it at all. So that's my IQ point, that they are mostly theatrical, and I think it's interesting that it says something about Howard that he is the one making the noise, and like you said, it's probably because of his experience in porn habits.
Yeah, based off what we know from Howard, he's really into like the pickup artists and stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
things that are influencing him that should not be influencing
Yeah,
him.
he should be questioning,
Yeah, yet somehow he ended up with a great girl like Bernadette.
right?
Well, all right. We cut outside to Howard's house now, and the first thought is like, wow, their patio is really nice.
It's
I don't know if
pretty
you actually
nice.
it has like flowers, has like that little ladder thing with some pictures on it and everything. I was like, wow, Mrs. Wallowitz, you did a really good job decorating that.
And I think we've seen the front door before, but I don't think we've seen that much of the patio.
Yeah,
Because
I don't think
they
so.
had like some chairs, right? And I don't remember that. I just remember somebody like knocking at the door at one point,
Yeah.
and that's it. So, but very nice.
Yeah. Well, Howard is entering his own home, and Mrs. Wallowitz shouts out because she thinks that a sex criminal is trying to break in. And now they have like this really big fight. Um, he goes in, and then it kind of zooms in on the door, and you can just kind of hear their voices like yelling at each other. She hopes that he wore a condom. that she doesn't want a fancy new sex disease since they share a toilet. It's very inappropriate.
I think it's funny that she says fancy new sex disease, as these diseases haven't always existed throughout human
Yeah.
history, right?
Or she just assumes that it's evolved or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, he hits his breaking point and he leaves. And he says that he's moving out. But then he forgets his Claritin and he goes back and she just instantly thinks it's a sex criminal again.
Who's there? Are you a sex criminal?
Then we have the opening theme, and then Howard goes to Leonard and Sheldon's because of the fight. And Sheldon comes out and makes Leonard follow social protocol and get him a hot beverage, which we've seen in the past. So he's very consistent. And you know what? He needs one too because of the impromptu guesses putting him in the dumps. I like that.
I was
Maybe
going to
Coco.
say, isn't he going to be upset that he's stopping by unannounced? But it makes sense. He's like, I'm going to have cocoa. I'm going to be okay with it, but I need some cocoa. Although I have to ask, why didn't Howard go to Bernadette's?
I thought about that too. And it's because he's conflicted. It's because the thing that he was complaining about was like, well, my mom doesn't like Bernadette, and Bernadette doesn't really like my mom. So he needs like that neutral party to like talk to.
That makes sense.
Because he's very conflicted right now because he has his loyalty to his mom, but he loves Bernadette too. He does want to advance his relationship, but he has such strong loyalty to his mom that he's just like, I don't know what to do.
That makes total sense. That you put it, he wants to step back from the situation a little bit and kind of remove himself from the argument. Yeah. That makes sense. Good point.
Yep. And they ask why he didn't go to Raj's as the primary friend. But he couldn't go there because Priya's in town. And Leonard's eyes light up.
Just
whoa!
She's in town? Oh, okay.
Yeah, oh, man. Leonard listens to his problem for like about 2 more seconds, and then he bounces.
Like, sounds like that's a pickle. You're in a pickle. Gotta go.
Yep. And Howard is left with his tertiary friend.
Who seems very nice at this point. Things could be a lot worse. So
You know what? It's social protocol. He has to play the role. Well, now we're at Raj's apartment, and Leonard is there to talk to Priya, and Raj is not happy about this, and he forbids this relationship, which is the start of his forbidden joke.
I like this joke. I don't know if everybody would like it, but for me, like, as he was talking about, I'm like, how do you forbidden? So, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give myself 1 point to be like Raj here. Not because I don't know the word, although I was kind of confused after hearing this. I'm like, what is it? But because as he forbids it, nobody listens to him. Forbids his sister.
He has no authority.
And Leonard. But he has no authority. That's how I feel about most things in life. I'm like, no, students leaving the classroom, you're not allowed to leave. They're going to walk out. I'm not even going to ask them to stay because I know they won't. So
I will say I was a little torn on whose side I was on, because I'm on Priya's side on this one because it's night time. Hold on.
night time, sure.
Wave to Ryan. Can you wave? Waving.
Whoa. Whoa.
Can you be a T-Rex?
Yeah.
Be a T-Rex. Alright. Say night. Alright, say night.
Oh.
Alright, time to say night.
Night.
Night. Hunter.
Alright, like I was saying, I'm on Priya's side because Raj is no one to actually tell her who she can date and everything like that. But I'm on Raj's side that it's like, dude, if I'm forbidding this, don't commandeer my room. It's
that was weird. Like, it is his bedroom, right?
It's his apartment, it's his bedroom. It's like, okay, go somewhere else then.
And I also feel weird because, I think Priya, she gets to make her own decisions. So I totally take her side at the end of the day for everything. But I'm on Raj's side when it comes to Leonard, because I feel like in the last episode we ended with Leonard being like, "I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but if it makes you feel better, she stomped on my heart." And that's how they ended with it. Like, okay, I forgive you because I know you're hurt. And then it's clear that he didn't mean that. He's like, "Fuck you, Raj. I do what I want." And I'm like, "Oh man." So that kind of bothered me a little bit. Although I do agree that it's Priya's decision. So, uh, am I
Yeah.
wrong in that? Isn't that how it ended?
No. Yeah, it seemed like they were on good terms, that Leonard was very understanding of Raj's feelings and everything, but then everything's out the window. The
Mm-hmm.
moment that Priya came back, everything's out the window. It was a big fuck you to
Yeah,
Raj.
Leonard's a little selfish there. Like, maybe I've talked it out with Raj a little or something. I don't know. Although Raj
Yeah.
seems steadfast that he's not going to budge on this, I don't know what the solution is. But it does seem like Leonard didn't even give that a thought.
He
That
didn't even
Leonard
bat an
did what
eye. He didn't
he
even
didn't
bat
bat
an
an
eye.
eye. Yeah, he just went,
Yeah.
"I'm going in."
Yeah, going in. Hop into Raj's bed.
Howard, sounds like you're in a pickle. Got to go to Raj's bed.
Yep. Hope you flip that mattress.
Oh God.
But yeah, not loving Leonard in this, but like Priya did nothing wrong. Leonard, it's questionable. It is definitely a gray zone.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yes, you're an adult, you're both consenting,
Cons-
it's my
Forbidding.
forbidden.
Consensual. Consenting. Good.
Conceding? No, wait.
Consolidating.
They're both consensual
Yes.
adults being in a relationship, so they can really do whatever they want, but at the same time, it's a big fuck you to Raj.
Yeah. Especially to do it in his bed.
I know.
Oh,
Go,
man.
at least buy an air mattress and go somewhere else.
Like,
God, I think I'd be pissed about that if I had a sister. It's like, okay, if my friend is dating you, fine, but just don't do it on my bed.
would you feel comfortable having sex in your sibling's bed? Like, that's weird.
No. Anybody else feel that way? We need some emails on this topic.
Let us know.
Yeah. Have you had sex on your sibling's bed?
Did it make you moan or scream
Like a drunken monkey?
like a drunken monkey?
Did it help you get where you needed to go faster?
Did it help you manipulate the situation in your partner in the climax?
Yes.
I knew this was going to be a weird episode.
I didn't. We're taking some turns here. Well, now we're at the Cheesecake Factory. Trying to push forward.
Just plow through that.
Well, Howard and Raj are together, and Sheldon lets Howard know that if he wants to, he can spend the night again, if he needs it. So he's being a good tertiary friend. And enter Leonard and Priya, and they're holding hands. And Raj is mad because he forbidden it. And then we learn the word is forbade, which doesn't sound really right.
It doesn't, especially after you've talked about it this much. I'm like, that can't be right, but I know it's right.
Well, Raj has no say in who she dates. Or does he? Because Sheldon chimes in and says that he can. The Hindu code of Manu is very clear in this matter. If a woman's father is not around, the duty of controlling her base desires falls to the closest male member of her family, which in this case is Raj. And the code also states that if she disobeys, she will be reborn in the womb of a jackal and tormented by diseases. And I love this part. He's like, if that's true, that seems like an awfully large gamble, given that the prize is Leonard. Sick burn.
It's just Leonard. That is a way to burn.
And Priya rebutes back and says, well, it also says that if you eat beef, you need to live with cows for 3 months and drink their urine. And this
Did you look
comes
into
into
this?
my this
Good.
is actually my one and only IQ point.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't really. I'm interested in see what else you found, but I didn't really find anything else.
I think I have 1.5 more. One.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm interested in that half. Well, do you want me to take this one?
Go for it. If I have stuff to add, I'll add some.
Okay. Well, I cross-checked this amongst multiple sites just to kind of do my due diligence. I found this on learnreligions.com, worldhistorycommons.org, a little bit of Britannica just to kind of clarify things, and lexpraxis.org.
You know, I was going to say that's great that you cross-check, because the more I read into this, the more it became clear that different translations and interpretations of the text could result in different meanings and different like ways to think of it. So like not everything I saw was agreeing. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I found a disagreement on was like when the people think that it was even written.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like they were pretty far off within like hundreds of years.
It's just
So-
a few centuries. What's the big deal?
No big deal. Flip that mattress over and get on with your life.
Yeah.
Well, Manu Smriti, or the Laws of Manu, or the Manava Dharma Shastra, is an ancient Indian text that contains guidelines and laws for how to live one's life according to the Hindu tradition. The code, for the most part, I saw kind of is in this time frame, dates back to around 500 BC. But like I said, I've saw different dates, so this was that middle ground. So it is believed that Manu, the ancient teacher of sacred rites and laws, is the author of the Manava Dharma Shastra. I didn't look into the exact rules that Sheldon and Priya mentioned. I just kind of did like a general overview because it's long. It's long and I didn't really have that much time. So I was like, you know what? Let's just look at the general overview. But based off what this book is in general, those rules do seem to check out. But after really trying to dive into this, Priya really is not confined by these rules. The majority of modern Hindus acknowledge that this text is outdated and many don't follow these rules anymore, or at least not to a T. Some of the main criticisms are the caste system, which we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
It's the social hierarchy in India. So this is kind of where that evolved from. And also the way it governs what women do. It puts them in subjugation pretty much their entire lives.
Yeah.
And I did look at like the chapters. So this book is 12 chapters. So chapters 1 is divine origin. Then in chapters 2 through 6, it runs through proper conduct of the upper caste, how to be a devoted student of the teachings, duties of the household, basically the choice of a wife, how to act in a marriage, etc., and duties of old age. Chapter 7 is duties of kings. Chapter 8 is how to be a good citizen and punishment to the different castes. Chapters 9 through 10 are customs and laws regarding inheritance and property, divorce, and lawful occupations of each caste. 11 is penance for misdeeds. And the final chapter is the doctrine of karma, rebirth, and salvation. So for a long time, this book was the golden rule on how to live life as Hindu. But like I said, it's changed. So this changed. India changed its ways around the time of their modern constitution in the 1950s, and even more so when modern secular law came into play in 1976. So more or less it's gone, but not forgotten. Scholars still find value in the Manu Smriti, mostly for insights into ancient Indian society, law, and social structures. So Hindus will use the Code of Manu as a guideline for life and morality. But it's not law. So that's what I had on it.
Yeah, I have some stuff to add, but that's a lot of what I was going with too. I was getting that the original, like, some people think it dates back to like the 2nd century BC, but like you said, not everybody agrees with that, and like the translations, even more so. Like they think that the translations started like in the 18th century AD. Also, that the original version was apparently like it wasn't in verse form. Like it was It's my understanding that it was like almost poetic. Like it was like actually recited kind of, that the translations don't do that uh service because it's so different. So that's something to keep in mind, that the translations, not only are they inconsistent and the interpretations are different, not just the language but the straight up interpretations, but technically it's not even written like in the same style. And again, I've never read it, so it's hard for me to tell. I'm just reading what I've read from other sources. Other things I've came up with, I wanted to see three things when I started researching this. The first was, does it actually talk about women being controlled by men, especially what does he say, their desires? And I don't know if that's true. I didn't read the whole thing. It's like it's very, very hard to read the whole thing. It's not even fully translated, but into English. According to Bridgewater State University's Journal of International Women's Studies, there's an article by Nasera Inem and Molly Kuravilla that says, has a quote in it, a translated quotation, saying that fathers give their daughters away and pick a husband whom he finds worthy. In marriage, women's preferences or desires are not considered. So it's not necessarily that they control their desires, it's they're controlling who they get to marry. And I think there's a small difference there, that's saying, when do you have sex? Who do you feel attracted to? Who do you get to sleep with? Who do you get to date? Because none of that gets pulled in. It's all just, are you going to get married to him or not? And until we decide you see no one, that's my understanding of it. So it's a little bit different, but again, translations, interpretations, and the fact that it's not really seen in modern day the same way or used since, what'd you say, the 1950s, it makes it a little bit difficult to discern exactly what that means by today's standards. And then the notion of reincarnation for violating these terms. And when I Googled this, like, most of the stuff that came up was Big Bang Theory references, which made me really wonder if the notion of being reborn into a jackal's womb was authentic or if Big Bang Theory made it up. But I did find a website called feminisminindia.com with a translation by Patrick Olivelle, Olivelle, saying that for being unfaithful to a husband, a woman takes birth in a jackal's womb and is afflicted with evil diseases. So that sounds very, very similar. But again, it's not for disobeying their father or sleeping with somebody their father doesn't want. And definitely, I didn't see anything about if the father's not available, the brother or closest male gets to take over. I guess that makes logical sense, but definitely not saying that she'll be reborn in a jackal's womb for not being forbade to sleep with Leonard, right? So, yeah, I was kind of, it pieces together, so it makes sense. It's just, it's kind of confusing. And again, with the translations, not everybody agreeing, interpretations, maybe that does make sense. But I thought it was interesting that most of those hits came from Big Bang Theory and not actual translations. And so that took me to the part about if you eat beef, you have to live with the cows and drink their urine. And I don't know if this is entirely true. The most I could find it was from a website, hinduism.stackexchange.com. And in this, they had translated quotes from what they quoted as 11.108, 11.109, and 11.110. And it wasn't about eating beef, it was about slaying a cow. And it says that in the first month after slaying a cow for recompense, you have to drink barley grains, shave your head, and cover yourself in the hide of the slain cow, and live in a cow house. The second quote says, for the second and third months, or the next 2 months, I guess, the follow-up months, you have to eat a small quantity of food without facetious salt at every fourth mealtime, and bathe in urine of cows, keeping your organs under control. I didn't understand what that meant. Oh, like, do your organs fall out when you bathe in cow urine? Or, yeah, I don't know. And then during the day, you should follow cows, inhale the dust from their hoofs, and at night remain in Virasana, hero's pose, the yoga pose, to worship the cows. And so there is some notion of staying with cows, living with cows, but I didn't see anything specific about drinking the urine, and it wasn't necessarily for eating beef. It was for slaying the cow. And apparently there was, from this forum, there was some connection to eating other forbidden animals, like I think it said pigs were some of them, and different punishments for that, but none of them were quite the same as this in any way, shape, or form. So I'm not but again, that penance for eating those animals, beef wasn't one of them. So as far as I could tell, there was no punishment for eating beef. It was for slaying a cow, and it's slightly different. But again, since interpretations, translations, who knows? It's above my head, but I thought it was all very fascinating, and I don't think Big Bang Theory just made it up for this. So that's what I found.
It definitely sounds like it's based on the translation because, like, I guess technically, like, some people think, like, the act of eating meat is, like, so wrong that you're basically killing it to a degree. So I could definitely see, like, how translation really makes a big difference.
Or like Old Testament Bible Judaism saying that don't eat hooven animals, so no pigs. Don't eat unclean animals like lobsters. And, I don't know. And my Bible school theology classes, they're like, oh, that was just to warn people they're hard to cook. And I'm like, I don't think that's how you translate it, but I guess that's
very different translation.
Right?
It's challenging to cook.
It's challenging.
You need a Dutch oven. You need
you need the right butter and some parsley and shit. If you're gonna eat lobster without butter,
yeah.
Just don't eat it at all if you're gonna eat it wrong.
Anything else?
That's it. Good IQ point. I'm glad that I feel like we went in different directions to make a more fuller, robust IQ point there.
And if any of our listeners out there are Hindu and are familiar with the Manu Smriti, please chime in. We would love to hear about it. We'd love to hear,
curious.
More details, more information. All right. Well, enter Penny, and Sheldon breaks the news that Penny and Leonard used to do the dance with no pants. It's like, awkward.
Okay, so I get a point for being like Sheldon here. I've never said that line, and I don't think I would ever be quite that awkward. I would say that, but I have had people look at me the same way as they look at him.
Like, what the fuck?
Why did you just say that, Ryan? Right? It seemed like the right thing to say, but
should I not have said that?
Was it wrong? It wasn't a lie. It was the truth. Dance with no pants. So 1 point for Sheldon.
Yeah. Well, now Bernadette walks by and Howard intercepts. And then we cut back over to Raj, and I love Raj in this instance. It took me a sec. I didn't see him drinking the beer, so at first I was like, how is he talking to Penny? But then he is drinking a beer, so they covered their bases. But Raj asked Penny to explain why she lost interest in Leonard. It's like, please explain to my sister why he's awful.
Why you became disenchanted with Leonard.
Well, Howard has great news for Bernadette. His mom is spending 2 nights in Palm Springs. So then they get to actually spend the night together. 2 full nights.
2 full nights.
But you know what? That's not good enough. And then when she kind of pushes him in a corner to, like, make the right decision, he freezes up. And then she just storms off. It's like, come on, Howard.
I feel like you didn't let me finish. Okay. He had that chance and he still failed.
Yeah. Failure. Well, now we're at Penny's, and Amy shows up, and like we said earlier at the introduction of this podcast, she's a great friend. She shows up to Penny's, she's there to talk some shit about Priya. Because that's what you do.
That's what you do.
And then she tells it to her straight. Priya is much more suitable to Leonard than you. She's highly educated, an accomplished professional, and she comes from the culture that created neat ways to have sex. And Penny is a dropout that comes from the culture of tipping cows. So brutal.
Thanks, bestie. That really
Yeah.
helps.
Well, Amy also brought some work equipment. She is using a portable electro. I know she said it, but I can't even say it. Electroencephalogram, and wants to measure her brain waves when she cries, and then stimulate a rhesus monkey to see if she can make them cry.
I was gonna say that's my note. Is she wants to make a rhesus monkey cry?
Well, now we jump over to Bernadette's, and I love that she has it's a little short joke because we know that she's so short that she has like a little stool just to like look through the people.
And she like picks it up, puts it down. She just like takes her time with it too. I love that.
Well, Howard arrives and he chooses her, and we find out that he emailed this information to his mom. And the lack of that will come back later.
Mm-hmm.
Then her nightmare begins. It's like, where's dinner? No dinner? Okay, well let's fool around a little, and then you can go shopping.
Then you
It's
go
like,
get my
whoa.
groceries. Like, whoa, red flags.
Red flags all over the place. And now we cut back to the apartment, and they're all having dinner, and Leonard is just very smitten with Priya, and Raj is great as a buzzkill. He's trying to like be all flirty with her. Oh, I love the way that you say that. I love that. And Raj is like, we all say that. We all say it just like that.
There's
I
nothing
say it like
special
that.
about it.
I love that.
I love that.
And then Raj says that he's going to hook up with Leonard's sister when she comes into town.
And you know, I am kind of confused by this. Not Raj hooking up. Oh, that's really funny. Part of it was Priya didn't want a serious relationship, so are they just hanging out? Because it seems like they got kind of serious kind of quickly, even though she didn't want a serious relationship, and she's not living there.
I thought about that too. I don't think she knew that she was coming back. I think her work just kind of threw this project at her, so now she's going to be staying in Pasadena for a much longer period. So I think she's willing to kind of give it a chance.
A little commitment, because I figured she was only there for like maybe a week or two, but it seems like she's going to be there even longer. I gotcha.
Yeah. Well, enter Penny, and she smells pizza. She sees Priya and she tries to like leave, but then they invite her in, and then Sheldon calls her a plover, a scavenging bird that eats extra food between the teeth of crocodiles.
And
She'd be insulted, but
get my third IQ point. It's actually before, because he first calls her a German Shepherd, right, for sniffing out the food. And I was, I've known that German Shepherds can be drug sniffing, bomb sniffing dogs, but I never see them. So I'm like, is that like an old wives' tale, or is he like misled? But from what I understand, he's not entirely wrong. And the reason I haven't seen them is because apparently different dogs are better for different drug sniffing points, I guess, for different goals, I suppose. And so, yeah, what I say. In the article Comparing Narcotics Detection Canine Accuracy Across Breeds by Brian Lee Rice and Joseph Valesco, they talk about the best drug sniffing dogs, and what I can say is that they have a lot of math to it that I could not understand. I looked at this for like 30 minutes. I'm like, nope, I cannot understand their calculations or how they're coming to the calculations, how x to the second power is equaling p to the 42. I would need somebody to understand it. But what I did get to and understand was that German Shepherds, English Springer Spaniels, and Labrador Retrievers are often the preferred drug sniffing, bomb sniffing breeds. And the distinction they made is that most trainers suggest English Spring Spaniels for proactive searches. Indoor-outdoor spaces that are large, that they're like ongoing looking for something. So maybe like bodies, or potentially if you have a whole bunch of luggage and you're searching it all out. whereas Labrador Retrievers are preferred for passive searches, people and luggage from a leash. So that's probably why I see more labs in airports, because they're there. And it gets interesting because they mention an investigation by Adam Kowitz, who talked to trainers and suggests that there's four traits that trainers look for in training sniffing dogs, I guess. One is their willingness to sniff. One is their concentration and focus. One is their acuity of smell. And four is their willingness to bring an object back. And so the reason I probably see Labrador Retrievers is they are rated more ideal for concentration. And so if they're working an 8-hour shift and they have to be well behaved around humans, maybe they're better fit for that situation, which would make sense for, to say earlier, to sniff people, luggage, and be on a leash all day long. Where German Shepherds are rated more ideal for acuity of sense of smell. So it makes sense that Sheldon is comparing her to a German Shepherd, because apparently in tests they seem more accurate with what they smell. Although those English Spring Spaniels, if I understood the math, are pretty up there with their sensitivity to smells as well. So labs may not be as efficient or effective with their smells, but they are more focused and more ideal for maybe more interaction. So, and again, it really, from what I'm seeing, depends on every single dog's a little bit different. But it was interesting to see that different breeds are different for different types of drug searching and bomb sniffing. So something to think about that. Yeah, Sheldon was right, and I was just really curious why I don't really see German Shepherds that much at the airport. So there you go.
Yeah, my neighbor has a German Shepherd, so I see one all the time.
They can be really nice. They're not necessarily aggressive, but they are protective. I've had family who have had German Shepherds, and it's like if I cough wrong while I'm at their house, the German Shepherd's eyeing me, kind of like, I don't trust you.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? But I've known people who've owned them, and, talking to my family who's owned them, like, they are totally affectionate and loving and goofy, but they're a little bit protective, too, so... And
Nice.
Meanwhile, the people I know with labs, they just roll over and get fat and eat. Like, that's all, that's my experience with labs, so...
Well, Penny takes the insult because she has no food, and then she sits over by Amy. She asks Priya about what it's like being a lawyer, and we learn what she's up to. Priya is currently helping set up a secondary derivative market which would allow overseas car firms to hedge their investments against potential advancements in battery technology. Not boring at all.
So that was my half IQ point. I'm just going to say it was more like a 10% IQ point. I don't know what that means, and I tried, and I kind of failed at it. It kind of came down to two things. Are they saying that the companies are investing in other intel? Either basically more copycat gas cars in case their cars don't work out, or are they trying to curtail battery sales, or like basically get in line saying batteries are the way of the future and we're going to invest in second-rate battery cars because they might be the way of the future. So I couldn't tell if they're trying to bring down the sales of battery cars and try to even out, or if they're investing in their own battery cars that are ripoffs of what actually exist.
I feel like they're based off just... I didn't do any research on this, but just reading what they said Priya is doing, it sounds like her company is taking money and trying to acquire battery companies.
Battery companies.
That's what it sounds like. Like they want, like they need more battery manufacturers and everything.
So for their own batteries, I was taking it because they were seeing like electric cars being competition and how they were trying to fight that competition. But also it makes sense, like technically fossil fuel cars have batteries in them too. So I was a little confused by this. And if anybody out there like does this for a living or knows what they're talking about, I'm curious what you have to say, because I took it a couple different ways, and without more context, I wasn't exactly sure what she was doing, but it sounded a little sketchy. I'll have to tell you that.
It does sound a slight sketch.
There's some sketch.
Well, Priya tries to pivot and she asks Penny about her acting jobs. Well, Penny had an audition but apparently it turned out it was for porn. And like Sheldon asked if she got it.
Like, I thought it was for cat food. It was for porn.
Did you get the job?
Did you get the job?
Based off your current trajectory, you can't be saying no to jobs.
Can't be picky.
Then Priya and Leonard have a very cute moment where they recite a scene from Taming of the Shrew, which is a Shakespeare play around that came out around 1590. And Raj not loving it.
If you ever saw 10 Things I Hate About You, it's a remake of it.
Oh, yeah, I love that movie.
And it's been a long time since I've seen either of them, but it's the notion of there's the one sister who doesn't want to date and the younger sister who really wants to date, and she can only date if she hooks up her older sister, so she tries to get her. Yeah. It's a good movie. You know, there was supposed to be a sequel, and I don't know if they actually shot a lot of it, but it got canceled. But like, if you look online, like, you can find trailers for the sequel. And
was
then
it the same actors playing the same characters, or was it just like a completely different?
It was different actors, but I can't remember who. It was people you know. Like, it wasn't like just B stars or like people you've never heard of. Like, I remember there being some people. I'd have to look into it again, but I was like shocked about the whole thing. That I'm like, I know these actors. There's a trailer, and it just never got released. So I believe I need to look into that again. Maybe I'll send it your way.
Well, why mess with something that was pretty perfect?
It was really good.
Yeah. Well, now, oh yeah, back to Amy is great. She's like, it was your favorite line, right? I'm regretting my earlier
She's an
cattiness.
absolute delight.
She's a delight.
I like that because Penny's kind of like, what the fuck, and then Raj is like, fucking A.
Yeah, so many emotions in that room.
And then Amy's like, this is amazing.
I'm like, I love this.
I love this.
Well, now we cut over to Bernadette's room, and they just finished a little more hanky-panky, and the nightmare continues. We see how much of a child Howard really is.
So
He
much
wants
so.
us. Oh my gosh, so many red flags. The whole room is painted red.
Yep.
Howard wants a snack, maybe some string cheese. She has another type of cheese, but it's not as fun because you can't do string. Which, side question, do you eat string cheese?
Not regularly, and
But when you do you actually string it?
when I was a kid, I did. But these days, I'm usually hungry and just want it, so I just like a beef jerky stick.
Yes, me too. I was like, I ain't got time for that.
Exactly. I don't got time.
Yeah. Okay, I was just curious.
That's a good point. I was curious too.
He's going to make her a shopping list, and she needs to get the right laundry detergent in order to do his laundry. And she has to take him to the dentist, which doesn't make sense because he drives himself. He has his own scooter. Why would he need, unless he's getting like a root canal or something like that?
Just because he wants somebody to hold his hand.
I guess so. Yeah, he needs the support. And it all clicks in with her, and she kind of just freaks out, like, I'm not gonna be your mom. And I like how blindsided Howard was. He had no idea any of this stuff was happening. He was like, whoa, where is this coming from? Alright, well, we cut back to Howard's house, and he's all packed up, ready to go home. And call back to the earlier in the episode, Mrs. Wallowitz thinks it's a sex criminal again.
Is that a sex criminal? What is your deal, woman?
I know. Well, she never got his email, and they go back to business as usual. He gets a brisket and a reminder to floss because they're going to the dentist in the morning. And it clicked in, like, how much brisket he gets. Like, I feel like every time he's with his mom, it's always a brisket. It's like, I love brisket, and I guess it's like a very, like, common Jewish food. I'm air quoting for anyone. I'm air quoting because it's not just for Jewish people, but at the same time, it's like they have so many other foods it's like they throw in brisket to remind us that he's Jewish, but there's so many other things. Like they could have said, I made a loaf of challah bread. oh, we got some potato latkes, even couscous or kugel or something like that. It's like it's always brisket. It's like they eat a lot of brisket.
I was gonna say, not just with the brisket, but the fact that she couldn't turn on her computer. He get her a computer for Christmas, and he knows she can't check emails. So I think it's fair to point out that
He didn't want the confrontation.
he didn't want, and he didn't think she was gonna check it, so he didn't have to deal with it. So he, at least subconsciously, but
Which
like,
makes sense as a child. As a
right?
child would think that. Like they wouldn't think that many steps ahead, but as an adult looking through this lens it's like, dude, if she don't see you, she's gonna call the police.
Yeah, and leave some brisket out for you because she thinks you're coming home.
Yeah. Like I swear, like Mrs. Wallowitz seems like the type that even if she knew that he had a date with Bernadette, if he didn't come home, like in the morning, if she didn't see him the next morning, she's calling the police.
Yeah. If the first
My
thing she
son
yells
is
out
dead.
is "Are you a sex criminal?" when anybody enters the house, she's calling the police if he doesn't show up the next day.
Yeah. Howard did not think any of this through.
No,
But then
he
again,
did
you
not.
know what? He doesn't have a PhD, so why would he?
There you go. That's the problem.
Well, now we cut back over to Penny's, and again, Amy being an amazing friend. She pops over to check in on her. But then she slaps her in the face with some brutal facts. It seems like the appropriate thing to do when one's best friend finds herself being replaced by a smart, beautiful woman with smoldering sexuality of a crouched Bengal tiger. So specific, too.
That's really specific. Crouch Bengal tiger.
Well, Penny tries to fight the feeling, but then she gives in and she starts crying. And Amy quickly wants to set up the electrodes, which I love. It's like, it's still business.
Okay, let's get these going. And I do like that Penny played tough. Like, no, I'm fine. Like suddenly it just kind of
Yeah.
everything collapses.
Yeah. Well, now we're at the ending, and we're at the apartment. And Sheldon got Thai food. Penny comes, knocks, she doesn't knock. She just opens the door. It's like, I smell Chinese. It's Thai. You're losing your touch.
No longer a German Shepherd.
Nope. Well, they're alone now, and Sheldon has a lot of food for himself, even though he's virtual with Amy. It was still quite a big spread.
I kind of wonder if he just orders everything anyways, because that's what
They have a usual order. He's gonna order it anyways.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's just that was a lot of food for just him.
Well, Amy's on the computer. She checks in with Penny, which is very sweet of her that she's still checking in on her. Penny says that she's still not doing very well, so protocol dictates that Sheldon get her a hot beverage, which is not optional.
It's not optional. I do like that she said that she had success with the monkey too. He made it cry.
Yeah. What was it ashamed televangelist?
Disgraced
Disgraced
televangelist.
televangelist.
And I did
Well,
Sheldon's expression when he goes, "It's not optional."
Yeah. Well, this actually goes into my favorite moment of the episode, was that it's a small thing. I don't know how intentional it was, but I am interpreting it as intentional. It was the little smile that Penny gave when Sheldon said that the drink is not optional. There's this little smile that she gives. It was almost like, it wasn't like her breaking. It was definitely it felt intentional that she's smiling because there's comfort in Sheldon. She found comfort in Sheldon being Sheldon. There is a level of consistency that is Sheldon that she's finding comfort to. Yeah, where that she needs at this moment.
And even if she was breaking, it worked perfectly. So
Yes.
I agree with that. I know
That
exactly what
was
you're
a
talking
perfect
about.
little moment, and I love that. And that's the episode.
That's the end.
Yeah,
It was a great episode.
I really like that. Like you said, it wasn't the best episode, but I like where it's leading, and I like where it's going. I like that it's driving the storyline forward. Penny is coming to her realization of that she kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
She had her chance to get back together with him, but she kind of sat on it, let things ride out and everything, and now the world is crashing down on her.
Solid jokes. I thought there are a lot of funny parts that maybe not so many IQ points, but I felt like the IQ points were solid, and it was just, and like you said, the ending and the reliability, and I love the ending. I'll tell you that that this is exactly how I want this episode to end. It was great.
Yes, it was good. Well, now we're on to the vanity card. A
It's not
medium.
super long, but
It's not
medium.
super long, but it's definitely like I always get stuck with these.
Cracking your neck, like let's get ready for this. Let's stretch
All
it out.
right. Chuck Lorre Productions number 331. Random things I've learned in TV. Never ask a question when you know the answer is going to be a lie. Silence is always bad news. Strong Nielsen ratings guarantee employment, not self-esteem. Actors can smoke cigarettes because they're immune to carcinogens. It's safe to talk openly and honestly with people because they're not really listening. The two major groups in TV show biz are, naturally enough, show people and biz people. Telling them apart is simple. No matter how old they are, in quote, show people, usually creative types like writers, actors, directors, and musicians, dress like teenagers. Again, regardless of age, biz people, agents, managers, lawyers, company executives, dress like adults. When biz people start dressing like show people, it means they've made too much money off the backs of the aforementioned show people. When show people, usually directors, start dressing like biz people, it means they're insecure about their creative involvement and need a hug.
Aww.
That's it.
That's it. At least he's
Doesn't
not.
seem. It seems like he's finally over his divorce. 'Cause
Exactly.
The last few vanity cards, not so much.
He was not a happy camper.
You're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad time.
All right, so 3 IQ points.
And I went up on one point each on both sides. 1 and 22, not like Sheldon. 119, like Sheldon.
Nice.
Those are solid points too, both of them.
All right. Anything else to add?
I think that's it for this episode. We're getting to the how many? I guess we still have like maybe 9 more episodes left in the season, but we're starting to wind down.
Yeah, kind of, but not really.
Ooh, some more twists and turns.
I mean, this is only episode 16.
16?
So, like, American TV shows with sitcoms, there's like 22, 23.
So that's still like
So we
five
kind of got a long way to go.
I'm just finished Last of Us, and they only had 7 episodes in the season. I'm just
I
like,
haven't started it yet.
I like
Not
it a
season
lot. It's there's a lot of complaints for different reasons, but I feel like it follows the story, and but yeah, I feel like
It's
7
so
episodes was too brief when most shows, like hour-long shows, usually you get like 12 or 13 episodes per season.
Yeah.
And if it's fucking Grey's Anatomy, you get like 25 episodes,
Oh.
1 hours. And so like 7 episodes, I'm like, man. And I also feel like we waited like almost 2 years for it. That I'm like, this is a very short season. So I'm hoping the next one comes out soon, because it also left on a cliffhanger, which I didn't think was a super strong cliffhanger. But the show is good enough that I'm really want to see where it goes.
Yeah. I'm happy that I'm done with all the yard work, because that's the next show that I'm going to watch as I do cardio.
It's a good one. And it's one that Kelsey is on board with too. And like, she's not really into horror or zombies or action, but she every Sunday is like, well, it's time for Last of Us. I'm like, okay. So,
Yeah, Christina's definitely would not be into it.
we finished Yellow Jackets as well, and I
haven't watched any of it, so I want to. I've heard great things, but
the
no.
first season I thought was good, not like stellar, but it made me want to know where it was going. It had me interested, and then the second season was like, okay. And then we're on the third season, and is that right? Third season. Uh, I don't think the writers really have any idea what they're doing. And everybody that I'm reading online, the same complaint that we had was it seems like they're adding characters. Like these girls had a plane crash, and there's only so many survivors. And it seems like every season there's more survivors that live. And it's like, where the fuck did they come from? Just popped up out of the ground?
They're trying to play it off as like they were there the whole time. We just weren't focusing on them.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's not. And there's like a number of actions and choices that I'm like, I feel like it's being written for conflict when I don't think logically it makes sense. And they're just like, how can we stretch this out? How can we make it work and just keep going? And I'm like, Also, I feel like the most interesting characters have been killed off. So I'm like, ugh.
Uh-huh.
So
It's funny you mentioned that because I just found out that did you ever watch the Netflix movies Rebel Moon?
no, I haven't.
Don't. They're fucking
No.
terrible. But yeah, like that's why I lost interest too, because like only 2 movies came out and the whole series got canceled. Where Zack Snyder even publicly stated, "Well, I planned for movies up to like 7, so I already wrote out like episode like
Okay.
movies 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like I already
Mhm.
wrote it out, but Netflix canceled it, and it's because it's fucking terrible. And
Ah.
like you said, like the most interesting character got killed off in movie 2. It's like you're leaving all the boring characters. It's
I
like,
don't want to
oh,
watch their lives.
yeah, I don't care about their life. You just killed off the one that was the most like that I would actually watch an entire series just with them. But nope, they're gone.
And I guess Game of Thrones did it, but I cared about other characters. Like I had like at least any given time 3 or 4 strong characters that I was invested in. And there was a couple
Yes.
where I'm like, I don't give a shit about them. Bran, I really hate that character.
King Bran, how dare you?
Right?
The
Man.
greatest storyteller?
He was and I knew exactly what was happening too, and then ending with that smirk on his face, like I'm like, no, I really did not like him.
No. Yeah, and we'll probably never know how it's going to end. Truly end.
Right? The real ending is still a
Yeah.
mystery.
Yeah.
Maybe someday. I don't think so.
No.
No.
As much as we want to, we won't. But all right, anything else to add on this episode?
I think that's all I have.
Great, yeah. Looking forward to seeing what the rest of this season has to offer. Any predictions?
I still think Raj and Bernadette. I'm gonna guess that the next few episodes are not gonna be relationship episodes, and it's gonna end this season with Penny kissing Leonard or something. When things are heating up with him and Priya, maybe Priya won't come back. But the way I would think it is that things are going to get serious with their relationship, and finally Penny's going to make a move at the 12th hour or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Make a note of that, and we'll let you. And we'll try to
It's like-
remember that.
Holy shit! I was way off.
I was way off.
There
There
was
was an
gonna be
alien invasion.
zombie
What's happening?
apocalypse.
They're fast moving.
Wow, they ran.
Well, all right. Thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully you stuck around. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, even though I've done 0 content on that in like the last few months. I might just abandon it. Email us at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. We love the interactions. Leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. And we will see you next time when we discuss Season 4, Episode 17, The Toast Derivation.
See you
See you
then.
next time. This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Alex Grohl. Thanks for listening. That's a good one.
Sex sounds and dog sniffers.
Sounds.
What?